So I'm Dan, 17 and female to male, transgender.
Hi, I'm Brandon Connor. I'm 15 and I'm the brother.
Hello, I'm Tracy Connor and I'm Alex's mum.
I'm James, I'm 17 and I identify as a transgender male.
Hiya, I'm Shan. I am the Health and Welfare Assistant here. I'm part Student Services, part EDI, Health and Welfare, supporting students.
Transgender, denoting or relating a person whose sense of personal identity and gender does not correspond with their birth sex. In the world, there is a large variation of genders and gender identities that can stem from one to another. There are the binary genders, male and female, and there is a third, non-binary. And these three main genders can stem into different variations on the gender spectrum and have various levels of masculinity, femininity, and neutral. Today I will show you just a part of that spectrum and how having a different gender identity can affect a teen's life after coming out. In the UK and the United States, transgender teens have been able to come out to the public as identifying themselves as a different gender. This is due to the increased support of LGBT community and of family and friends.
I started questioning gender when I was 16, halfway through being 16.
I started questioning my gender at about 15.
I found out I had a lot of friends in the transgender community, a lot of people who identified as people like non-binary and trans male and things. And I found out through telling my boyfriend at the time, who is trans male, that I felt weird that day. I didn't like myself, and they were like, that sounds a lot like body dysphoria, and that's what sent me into questioning.
Because I felt uncomfortable when people referred to me as a girl, and I saw people online that said that they felt like they weren't female, like they were assigned. And upon seeing those people, I decided to look more into it and read up on the definitions of different genders and see how I fit in there.
And close friends have responded to my transition quite well, actually. They obviously took them a while, but in terms of accepting them, were pretty good. Family, not so much, but it's a process, I guess. I haven't come out to my family, and their reaction was that they'd had enough to deal with and they've already bent over backwards for me, and there's only a certain amount they can take.
Not yet, although I think they suspect something.
Sex refers to the biological and physiological characteristics that define men and women, and gender refers to the socially constructed roles, behaviours and activities and attributes that a given society considers appropriate for men and women. Gender is expanded over the years and has become to include various types of gender identities. Being transgender means you feel uncomfortable or wrong in the body that you was born with. It's a mental and emotional feeling of being incomplete without the right body parts. Someone can be born a girl, but in their development, they may begin to realise factors about their body that they think are wrong. They might think that they're a boy, and so they will think that a boy shouldn't be born with breasts or a vagina. Some gender identities are gender fluid, agender, and bigender. Gender fluid means that your gender identity fluctuates between the three spectrums of male, female, and non-binary. Your pronouns can be he, him, her, she, and they, them. It just means that you don't have a set gender, and if that's how you feel, then you might be gender fluid. Agender is when you have no gender identity at all. You do not identify as male or female, and you just exist as something in between, and your pronouns would be they, them. If you feel like you're not male or female and you're comfortable in between, then you could be agender. Bigender is having the gender identity of two genders and fluctuating between the two. It's similar to gender fluid, except it's only two rather than the whole spectrum. Being bigender, you can use pronouns of he, him, and she, her, or she, her, they, them, or he, him, and they, them. If you feel like you're not just one gender and that you wouldn't mind being called with different pronouns, then you might be bigender.
Hate crime is an attack on a person that is different from the attacker in any way. So it could be part of the 9 protected characteristics. So you've got things like gender reassignment, sexual orientation, age, religion, whether you're a parent or not. And it can be a physical attack, a verbal attack, the low-level kind of things, such as ignoring them, excluding them from activities. It's anything that singles them out for their difference.
I have been a victim of one hate crime where there were many people around and they decided to get close to me and call me a tranny. But other than that, just tend to stay clear of anyone.
Not necessarily by passers-by, but I've received passive comments from family or people that don't like me.
According to the government's website, in 2015 to 2016, there have been reports of 7,194 sexual orientation hate crimes in the UK, and 858 reported transgender identity hate crimes since 2014. There has been an increase in 41% in the reports of transgender identity hate crimes. This shows that more people are being able to come forward about being assaulted, or possibly that hate crime identification is becoming more easier for police. Despite transgender hate crimes being seen as the least reported in the police forces, it's still a major factor to the discrimination that transgender teens face, and could also be a factor to them committing suicide.
I think that, to be honest, there are too many hate crimes towards transgender people because a lot of people know about them towards gay people and things like that, but the transgender community isn't that widely known, so a lot of people aren't massively aware of the amount of hate that goes towards it and the fear that transgender teens live in when they go out and things like that.
I think that transgender hate crimes are a thing that shouldn't be happening, and the increase of it just makes it worse.
I think any statistic of hate crime is too high. Any number, even if it's 5 a year, is just too much, because to prey on someone purely because they do not identify it as something you do or because you don't understand is not an okay thing to do.
Obviously, I think they're wrong. I don't understand hate crime at all in any of its forms. I don't understand why one person would be hateful towards another human being just because of their difference. Sexual orientation is nothing. People choose, well, don't choose, but people are free to love who they want to love, and I don't understand why anyone would hate or persecute someone for wanting to be in love or to be who they are.
Well, the discrimination against transgender people is just silly. It's like, there shouldn't really be it in the first place, because it's just people being people and humans being what they want to be. And because of all this hate, they're less likely to do that and just try to be something that fits in with everyone else rather than be different and unique to everyone else. And that's kind of what we need more in life. More people to be different and outgoing rather than the same bland person over and over and over again.
I think people are small-minded and they don't like anything that's different, and unfortunately it's just how society is.
I think that hate crimes need more focus from not just police in general, but from people who are perhaps told by their friends that they have been a victim of a hate crime, and they just need to be more aware of what it means and how it actually affects people.
There are several ways that people could report hate crime. So the main way is through the police. So you could ring the non-emergency number and they would log it as an incident and investigate it that way. There are several websites where you can anonymously report hate crimes if that person didn't feel comfortable. And then through places like victim support groups as well, you can report them.
All over the world, teenagers are coming out to family members and telling them what different gender they are. However, some responses aren't as positive as others. 69% of teens that have come out to family members face homelessness as a punishment for being different, as well as families outcasting them and not speaking to them.
Having a sibling that is transgender is admittedly a bit weird at first, but over time you just kind of realise it's just it's them being them, so you just kind of leave them to it and let them do their own thing. But in some cases it's kind of cool. Finally got a brother.
I worry about the difficulties she's going to face, but I want my child to be happy and comfortable with themselves. Just worry about the challenges that they've got ahead of themselves.
Well, I don't know much about the transgender community, but all I know is that it's very diverse and it's linked in with the gay, bisexual, lesbian, all of those kind of communities, and the whole LGBT community as a whole, and pride and stuff like that.
Not a lot, but I do know that it's getting bigger. There's more and more people becoming aware and becoming more confident to tell people about what they truly feel, rather than putting themselves in a box and trying to make everybody else happy. So.
Well, I haven't actually had to adapt that much to my sibling being transgender, because, well, it's just kind of exactly the same as it was before. It's just they identify themselves as male rather than a female, and their personality isn't exactly any different from it.
I've adapted to being a member of a transgender family member just by making sure my child's as happy as they possibly can be, accepting everything that they are.
There has been a survey conducted by The Guardian called the Adult Psychiatry Morbidity Survey that had found that around 48% of trans people under the age of 26 had admitted that they had attempted suicide in 2014, and less than 6% of those were 16 to 24-year-olds.
I understand it. I understand why they'd want to. And knowing that people have actually tried it is saddening. But because I know what's going on in their heads when they want to kill themselves, I understand on that level, but I don't think I could.
The rates of suicide is too high because people they're too afraid to say anything. And people are too afraid to even come out to their friends and say that they've been thinking about things like that, because a lot of times they say that they're fine and they will be fine, but they don't want to say anything. They don't want to speak up about it because it's a thing where people don't really know how to react. They don't know how to help. So they go without saying anything, and that's how people get lost.
The rate of those transgender suicides is actually shocking. It's like, I don't understand why that many people would do it, but I'd imagine it's most likely to be from social media or places like that where they're getting made fun of because of what they feel like they are inside and in their mind, rather than what their actual physical features are, and it's just insane, to be quite frank.
I worry a lot about transgender suicide rates and mental health, and I think if they've got the support of the family and friends, then it could be reduced drastically.
Well, I feel like he won't be pushed to suicide because of it, but there's obviously still that chance, but I'm obviously going to make sure that doesn't happen, because kind of, it's family, you know? You gotta look after them.
I hope not, I really do. I think if I have to support them 100%, it'll never happen. But it's very difficult, I know it will be, but as long as they're open with you, or me, then hopefully they can work through it. It's sad, it's very sad.
Being transgender doesn't change someone's personality or who they are as a person. It's important for family members and friends to show support to someone who comes out as transgender, and this can be done by using their preferred name and pronouns.
I would like to say that it's not going to be painful or it's not going to be scary, but it probably will be. There are going to be people that do not accept you for who you are, but life is way too short to be hiding who you are every day, to not want to be in love with the person that you choose to be in love with, whether it's man, woman, asexual, gender not defined. life is too short to be on your own and to not be true to who you are. And although you may lose a couple of friends, I can guarantee you will make 10 times more, because once you come out as LGBT, you will be part of a community that is millions strong. And because of the persecution that has in the past been stronger than it is now, it is a strong community, and you will always be supported, and you'll always have friends and family, no matter what you feel might be the case.
Be there, accept everything, just guide them and be there for the good and the bad times, and as long as your child's happy, you will be happy.
I think you need to be more open about how you feel and things like that, and maybe find a way for other people so they can understand it better. So understanding that it's not just being trapped in the wrong body. So for a lot of people, it's not being trapped in the wrong body. You're not trapped, you're just on the wrong path. And I think you need to tell others how they can help you along the right path, because yes, you can do a lot for yourself, but they need to understand that there are other people who can actually help you, not just charities and things like that, but just someone calling you something different, just someone using a different compliment a day is just enough just to keep people off that suicide path and down the right one to actually being able to transition correctly.
I'd probably just say don't let coming out stress you out. You can come out when you're ready, and you don't have to decide a certain gender for yourself just yet. You can be whoever you want to be whenever you want to be it.
All that I can say about transgender people is they're awesome. I mean, they're exactly the same as every other wacky, crazy person. They're just different in a completely different way. And that makes them kind of unique.
Most people don't understand what being transgender means. But all being trans means is being your true self and becoming more comfortable in your own skin. There is a spectrum of genders that can be each different in their own way, and being open-minded about what is going on in the world around you could have its benefits.